Hi everyone, my name is Jen Ruge and I manage the Weleda medicinal plant gardens here in the UK in Derbyshire. And this video is about the October Planting with the Moon calendar update. So we're looking at Maria Thun's Biodynamic Sowing and Planting calendar and see what October's got in store for us. In October, we start with a new moon on Wednesday the 2nd. You can see in the calendar that there are a bunch of symbols here on that side. The new moon is indicated by the black circle. It occurs at a node, which is the smaller black circle. And when a new moon occurs at a node, it means that there's going to be a solar eclipse, which just means that the moon is directly in front of the sun. And usually eclipses have unfavorable effects on plant growth. And that's why you can see that this area in the calendar here on the 2nd is grey. So a time not to cut your plants or sow or transplant or do any of these types of gardening activities. Now, new moon is also an interesting time because it's been used especially in the timber industry a lot back in the day before machines, when they had to fell trees by hand, because the sap flow tends to be a bit weaker just before the full moon. So if you still cut trees by hand, that might be a less challenging time. And also the timber takes fewer time to dry out because there's less sap flow in it. So for instance, it's been used a lot in the music industry as well, to make musical instruments out of wood. So yeah, interesting fact to look up. And also, of course, it's a good time to prune back trees or shrubs because there is less potential for damage to the plant, and you don't usually have the loss of vigor at that time. When I look at the calendar, at the first half again, you'll also notice that the northern transplanting time, or the time of the descending moon, ends at the 9th of October. And it's a really good time to get your autumn horn manure stir and spray in. And what we actually do at this time of year, in the last 20 minutes of the hour, we add the so-called barrel prep, or also known as CPP, to the horn manure stir, and then spray everything together onto our land. Because the barrel prep is especially beneficial in the autumn, because it stimulates soil activity and it kind of helps the soil to digest fallen leaves or any other organic matter. And when you think about it, because the barrel prep also contains the biodynamic compost preparations, it's a really good way to distribute the compost preps that wouldn't necessarily be possible so widely across the land. You can buy the barrel prep or the CPP from the Biodynamic Association, but you can also make it yourself, which is what we do at Weleda. We make the preparations ourselves. There's lots of information online on the BDA website, but also do get this book if you haven't got it yet. It's available again in print, and really useful because it's not only about the preparations, but there's also lots of other interesting tips for gardening in the biodynamic way. It can be a bit tricky this year because of all the rainfall that we had, to get some dry days to collect your own seeds. If you haven't already done so, do have a look at the bottom of the diary page on the calendar, because it does tell you that when you look at the different times, you can choose to harvest and collect your seeds for root plants on root days, and for flowering plants on flower days, and so on and so forth. And it also gives some recommendations about storing fruit, for instance, outside of the transplanting time, to increase its longevity. So do have a look at the extra information, which is always at the bottom of the pages. If you also like to do a bit of foraging and collect berries like hawthorns or sloes, or maybe you've even got some sea buckthorn or other interesting berries to fill up your freezer or just eat right away, it's worth looking at the fruit times in the calendar for picking. So those will be the red bars that you can see in the first half of October, and likewise you see them again in the second half of October. And last but not least, October is also usually the month where a lot of biodynamic farms and gardens do make their own biodynamic preparations. There's a lot of events going on across the UK in the first half of October, where you can join events in the south at Tablehurst Farm. If you're in the Midlands, you can come to us at Weleda and have a look on the BDA website with lots of other events where you can get involved and yeah, do it yourself. So I hope you've enjoyed the October update for the biodynamic sowing and planting calendar, and I hope you're going to enjoy the start of this autumnal period.